You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Beversdorf versus James.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Good day. Ms. Beversdorf, you have opened your case against Mrs. James to prove that her deceased son, Daryl, is the biological father of your 4-year-old son, Dakari. You say that once you prove paternity, Mrs. James better accept you both or she will never see Dakari again. Mrs. James, you say that your deceased son had constant doubt about the paternity of Dakari and you know he's not your grandchild. You state that you asked the plaintiff to take a DNA test 3 times, but Ms. Beversdorf refused. You have come to clear your son's name. Ms. Beversdorf, you say this paternity denial is affecting your son. Explain.
It's the whole denial thing that's affecting my child and me. They don't accept him, they don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. I want him to, you know what I'm saying, just feel like that's all family. Everybody's family, not just my side, not just their side. I want it to be genuine. And I just know once I get these test results, it will be genuine and everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have proof that that is his father. I'd never want him to doubt that. And I know.
We would not have to have proof if we would not have the doubts. The doubts were brought because of you.
Yeah,
So,
but
Ms. James, I'm sorry for the loss of your son.
Thank you.
I am. And I would like to know, you say the doubts were brought because of Ms. Beversdorf?
Yes, because of the relationship that they beheld in the time that he was with her, then they always fighting, breaking up, her seeing other people in between the breakup.
nobody has proof of that though. I've never been seen with anybody else. I've never been with anybody else.
You haven't been seen with anybody else, but when you were living in the house with us, you were gone. You're gone 2 weeks, and I'm like, where's Kayla?
No, I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
With my sister, at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your house, she came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave. That was my...
Do you remember that incident, Ms.
No.
Beversdorf?
I know who my baby dad is. I know, and I'm just so ready to prove it.
How long were you together, you and Mr. Stevenson?
4.5 years.
I don't know nothing about 4.5 years, Your Honor, because I never knew her name until the day he brought her to us. And then after he brought her to us, 1 year, next year, we got a baby.
So the day he brought her to meet you, he introduced her as his girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
They had broken up. In 2 weeks, she was gone, and then she came back the next week, and
I was
her
already
and my
pregnant,
son...
Your Honor. I was already
and the
pregnant.
next week she came back, Your Honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Ms. James know that?
Correct, because you and him then had a fight. Her and him has a fight. She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back. Next thing I know, her and my son sitting in my kitchen telling me she's pregnant. And I'm looking like, by who? So he's like, Mom, we're gonna have this baby. I'm like, okay, son, I'm with you, whatever it is you doing. He says, Mom, until I find out it's not mine, that is what I'm going to stick by her.
But if you don't know that that's your child, why are you in the hospital? Why does he have your last
Because
name?
he loves
Why do you
you.
pull the umbilical cord? Why do all that if that's not your child?
Did
Who
he
does
sign the
that?
birth certificate?
No.
No, because when the nurse came in,
No.
when the nurse came into the hospital room, he was at home taking a shower, getting clothes. He only left the hospital for maybe 2.5 hours.
And so for the 2.5 hours he left was the one time they came in with the birth certificate for him to execute?
Yes.
And so so when he came back to the hospital, did you say to him, hey, babe, you missed the birth certificate?
That's exactly what I told him.
And
I
that
said, hey, you missed the birth certificate signing, but she's gonna come back to our room for you to sign it. He said, okay. By that time, we were so excited bringing in the new baby. We didn't even remember about the birth certificate.
I asked him prior, almost 2 weeks to him dying, to sign that birth certificate because
She didn't know when he was gonna die.
I didn't.
She did not know.
I'm just saying. I wanted,
So
and
2
you know
weeks
that
prior,
I told
that
him.
has nothing to do with it.
What she's saying is she doesn't have to know the date he was going to pass away. She's saying up until 2 weeks before it happened, she had been saying
to him,
are you going to sign that birth certificate?
Son, you need to sign that birth certificate in case something happens. And you know you've heard me tell him that. I told him that in front of you.
Yeah.
Why
So
isn't he
even though he expressed doubts to you, it was still your position, Ms. James, that he needs to go sign that birth certificate in case anything happened?
Yes, Your Honor, for the simple fact of now I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes, I have, Your Honor. You know why she don't know about 3 times?
She never tried to get no DNA
because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What
met
happened?
me nowhere. We never even had that as
I didn't have to meet you nowhere.
She never
I told
called,
you where
she
the
never
place
said
was.
anything.
Ms. James, take me through each time. You say 3 times.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about the first time.
Okay, Your Honor. The first time that I recall telling Kayla about getting the DNA, my son had crossed over. He had died. In the process of him dying, Your Honor, 2 weeks, I told her to go get his Social Security. We went down there. They told us we needed a DNA so that we can prove that he was his because he didn't sign the birth certificate.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
Why would I deny that? If I'm so confident, why would I deny a DNA test?
Why didn't you come and
It doesn't make any sense to
Your
me.
Honor.
I would never deny a DNA test when I'm so confident to come on here to prove about my son's father.
So you're saying you've never even been asked?
No.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Never. I've never been asked. I would never deny it if I was asked. I would never deny that. Just like I didn't deny coming out here.
But Ms. James
You
is saying
brought
you
us out here because I told you I was not going to put him on my 401k, and now that my brother has died,
No,
I wasn't going to put him on my insurance.
Actually watches
and since
your
I wasn't
show
going to put
every
him on my
day.
insurance, you got mad because you felt like he needed Daryl's money.
So, Ms. James, tell me about the second time you requested a DNA test. I've heard about the first time. Tell me about the second.
Your Honor.
She
Your
never
Honor.
requested it a
Yes, I
second
did.
time.
Your Honor, on a Monday, over the weekend or whatever, this particular second time, I asked her, hey, let's go to legal aid, help us, somebody, to get us DNA so we can get the Social Security started. We were supposed to do the test like Tuesday or Wednesday. I didn't see her till Friday. She allowed me to take Corey with me to see the brother that just passed. We was supposed to be gone a week. I stayed over a week. And I decided I was going to stay a month because I was retired. So I got money I could sit on my butt and enjoy it.
Okay.
So she says, well, when are you all coming home?
They were never supposed to go to Omaha. They were supposed to go
But
to
you
St.
knew I wanted
Louis,
to go see my
Missouri.
brother.
They were never supposed to go to
So, Your
Omaha.
Honor?
She kept my son for like 2.5 weeks.
I surely did.
On that Sunday,
I surely did,
that
Your
she
Honor.
brought him. Either
I
she was
surely
going to
did.
bring me my child Sunday, or I was going to call.
You did call the police on us.
No, I didn't. You don't even have a case. If I would have called the police, you would have a case against you for kidnapping my child
Your
for
Honor.
2.5 weeks.
All right.
If this was my son's son, if this was my seed, I should have some kind of paperwork,
That's why we're here
litigant
today.
or something.
Oh,
Took the initiative
so
to
hold on.
get
I want to understand this. So once you took the baby to visit when your brother passed away, after all of the issue of bringing him back, and you said the police was called, you felt like, if this is going to be my grandbaby, I need to have something that
Paperwork,
shows
no.
this is my son's child.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
not like I
kidnap.
just went and got somebody's baby.
Right.
I didn't know about no test, Your Honor.
You found
would've
out
went.
Daryl's money.
But I've never,
don't go
ever.
to Corey unless he's Corey's. My
But
insurance.
if the money was an issue, why would I wait until 4.5 years later? My son's
That's
4.5
right.
years old. Why
So
would
why
I wait
didn't you
this long
come
about
when
some
we-
money?
But Ms. Beversdorf, with all due respect, that's exactly what Ms. James is saying. If you are so sure and you know this is his baby, why wait 4.5 years to
Because
get
I
tested?
was never asked about a DNA test.
Why should
before
I have to
wrote
ask?
in.
But even if you weren't asked, even if you...
Yeah, but she said she asked me 3 times. She never asked me once.
I just asked you this year.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
The point
About my
is that
child,
even
always
if you
been tested.
disagree with the assertion that she's making, that she asked you to take DNA tests, even if you say, no, you never asked me that, Why have you not asked? And why have you not pursued?
Because I know who his dad is. It's not that serious. A piece of paper doesn't determine if he's my son's father or not, because I know that is my son's father.
It does
For
legally.
her, it might mean the world.
Yes.
But to me, and I know who my son's father is, then I don't have to get a piece of paper saying, oh, that this is his father. I know who it is.
And so you have no doubt in your mind
not one.
Mr.
I wouldn't be
Stevens
here
is
if I did.
Dakari's biological father.
Not one doubt.
No doubt.
My
I
entire
do.
mind.
Well, I do.
Not one doubt.
I
Well, that's
do.
why we're here, because she does.
We surely are.
We didn't get to the third time.
And
When
if
is the third time?
This year,
Why didn't she
Deanna,
get
I
a
asked
contact
her-
with you? Why didn't she write you? Why was it all me? If she's so determined to get a DNA test, why was it me
Kate.
who wrote you, the one person who can help? Why was it
Your
me?
Honor, ask her when did we go to the Social Security office together?
Did you go to the Social Security office together?
To see about getting Social Security started. When we went there, they told me that I would need a DNA test, but because he doesn't have any real brothers, that they could not go through the mom, that they would have to go through a real brother or sister, but he doesn't have any real brothers or sisters. So then that put a hole on me even getting Social Security. They didn't say anything about giving her a DNA test. Nothing about that. They said if he doesn't have any.
But you did meet about getting a DNA test.
We met about getting Social Security. We never met about
Which
getting
a
DNA
requirement is to have a DNA test.
All right,
Right.
Your Honor. Your Honor, I don't have it with me, and I wish I had it, but that's because she lives with me in my home, and when she came in the
She
kitchen,
lives with you now? Whoa.
Temporarily.
Miss James, why did you take Miss Beversdorf in if you don't believe Dakari is your son's biological
because
child?
by God's law,
It don't have nothing to do with that.
my son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do for that kid not to feel any kind of difference, he already got a strike against him, then I did what I felt was right in my heart,
That sounds good, but.
and that was taking him in. It's her I don't want. If there's a legal battle to the point that he is ours, then I feel they'll give me certain visitation rights without her.
Oh, you are hoping that there are grandparent rights.
I don't know,
In
Your Honor.
your
I'm just-
state.
Your Honor, I'm
That-
really just
she doesn't
hoping that
care
he's
that much.
ours. I'm really hoping he's ours because I am not sure that he is our child. I'm just not sure. There's nothing else you can tell me. It's nothing you can tell me until you open the envelope that he's ours.
So the truth is you're hoping that Dakari is your grandchild, but because of the doubts your son expressed to you openly before his passing, you have doubt. Because you were told by him
Yes.
that he had doubt.
Yes,
And
Your
you
Honor.
were
With the
told by
breaking
him
up.
that the reason why he did not execute that birth certificate
Is
for
because he
11
didn't
months
know.
is because he didn't
He
know.
wasn't 110.
He loved them, but he didn't know.
He loved her.
He
Which
knew.
means you take, when my mama
Yeah.
said, you take the big cookie, you take all the crumbs that go with it.
Well, that's a word for church today. Take the big cookie, you take all the crumbs that go along with it. I'm gonna use that again. Jerome?
Yes.
With that said, let's get the results.
You got it, Judge. There you go.
Okay. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased, Daryl Stevenson, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent, Jacqueline James. With that being said, the results determine if there is a viable relationship between the child, Dakari Stevenson, and Jacqueline James. In the case of Beversdorf versus James, when it comes to 4-year-old Dakari Stevenson. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
I'm sorry, Kayla. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we gotta do better. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Thank you.
It's
Well,
okay.
there's no more doubt.
No more doubt.
That's the only grandbaby I got. Because you don't know, Your Honor, that was a blessing all by itself. The burden of these last couple of years, looking at him, wanting him to be ours, because a lot of the animosity that I had against her was because I wasn't sure.
As we could see that. And even without being sure, you still tried to do the right thing by opening your home to her and Dakari. And most importantly, even though you all might fuss and fight or whatever it may be, we could still see the love you have for that child. This is a turning point. We've now turned the page to a new chapter. And I would like to know, Mrs. James, if you would like to see your grandson in my chambers, because you now know it is your
100%.
grandson. And I'm sure he would love to see his mommy and his nana.
Without fighting.
Without fighting. Right? All right. I'm gonna have Jerome go and get him, and I will meet you all in my chambers, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you.